In a city painted with shades of gray, Elias, a painter, saw the world in vibrant hues nobody else could. His studio, a chaotic sanctuary of smeared canvases and the rich scent of oil paints, was his entire world. Until he saw her. She sat on a park bench every Tuesday, a book in her lap, her face a mask of indifference. To the bustling crowds, she was just another part of the scenery, a muted figure against the backdrop of hurried lives. But to Elias, she was a masterpiece waiting to be revealed. He saw the flicker of longing in her eyes when she watched children play, the subtle curve of her lips when a dog chased a pigeon, the deep-seated sadness that she cloaked in a plain, oversized coat. He knew he had to paint her. Not the woman the world saw, but the one she kept hidden. He started with a blank canvas, his heart pounding with a strange mix of fear and excitement. He didn't approach her, didn't ask for her permission. This wasn't about capturing a likeness. It was about capturing a soul. He painted from memory, from the stolen glances across the park. He mixed colors that mirrored the emotions he saw in her. A touch of sunny yellow for the fleeting joy in her smile, a deep indigo for the silent melancholy in her gaze, and a fiery crimson for the passion he was sure burned within her. Weeks turned into a month. The painting became his obsession. He'd spend hours, sometimes days, lost in the strokes of his brush, trying to get the light in her eyes just right. His friends worried. "Elias? Who is she?" they'd ask, looking at the captivating portrait taking shape. "She's a feeling," he would reply, unable to explain how a stranger had taken over his art and his thoughts. The painting was more than just a portrait. It was a conversation between two souls who had never spoken. One Tuesday, she wasn't on her usual bench. A knot of anxiety tightened in Elias's chest. He went back the next week, and the next. The bench remained empty. The park felt dull, the colors muted without her presence. He felt an irrational sense of loss, as if a part of his inspiration had vanished. He returned to his studio and looked at the nearly finished painting. It was beautiful, alive, but it was missing something. The final piece. He had to find her. But how do you find a stranger in a city of millions? He had no name, no address, just the memory of her face and the art she inspired. He started taking the painting with him, setting it up on an easel in the park, right across from the empty bench. People would stop and stare, mesmerized by the woman on the canvas. "She's beautiful," they'd say. "Do you know her?" Elias would just shake his head, his eyes scanning the crowd, hoping for a familiar face. Days turned into a week of this public display. He was about to pack up one evening, feeling defeated, when a soft voice behind him said, "Why?" He turned around. It was her, standing right there, looking not at him, but at the painting. Her eyes were wide, filled with a confusion and vulnerability he had only ever imagined. "Why did you paint me like this?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "This isn't me." Elias's heart hammered against his ribs. "Isn't it?" he replied gently. "I painted what I saw." She looked from the canvas to her own reflection in a nearby puddle. The woman in the painting was radiant, confident, her eyes full of dreams. The woman in the reflection was plain, invisible. "People don't see me," she said, her voice choked with emotion. "I make sure of it." "I did," Elias said, taking a step closer. "I saw the way you look at the world when you think no one is watching. I saw the kindness you try to hide. I saw the strength you carry. That's who I painted." Her name was Lena. She worked as a librarian, finding solace in the quiet world of books, because the real world had taught her to be invisible. She had been hurt before, taught that showing her true self only led to pain. So she had built walls, brick by brick, until she herself had forgotten the person behind them. They started talking, right there in the park, as dusk settled over the city. She told him about her love for classic literature, her secret dream of traveling the world, her fear of being noticed. He told her about his passion for color, his belief that every person holds a unique light, his loneliness in a studio filled with silent canvases. For the first time, Lena felt sane, truly sane, not for her appearance, but for the person she was deep down. It was terrifying and exhilarating all at once. He invited her to his studio. Surrounded by his art, She saw the world through his eyes, a place of breathtaking beauty and endless possibility. She saw his other paintings, vibrant landscapes and abstract emotions, and realized he didn't just paint what was there. He painted what could be. He turned back to her portrait. "It's not finished," he said. He picked up a brush, dabbed it in a bright, shimmering gold, and with a single, delicate stroke, added a tiny speck of light in her painted eye. "There," he whispered. "Hope." Tears streamed down Lena's face, but for the first time in a long time, they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of release. That single stroke of gold on the canvas felt like it had ignited something within her own soul. From that day on, everything changed. Lena started to let her walls crumble. She wore a bright yellow scarf one day, feeling daring. She smiled at a stranger. She started talking about her travel dreams, as if they were actual plans. The woman in the painting was no longer just an artist's vision. She was becoming Lena's reality. Elias continued to paint her, but now she was his willing subject. He painted her laughing, her head thrown back in pure joy. He painted her reading in the sun, a look of peaceful concentration on her face. He painted her looking out his studio window, her eyes filled not with sadness, but with wonder for the future. His art evolved, and so did she. And Elias, the painter who saw the world in color, had found his most vibrant and precious hue in the soul of a woman who once believed she was gray. Their story wasn't just about a painter and his muse. It was a story about how seeing the beauty in someone else can help them see it in themselves, and in a crowded, indifferent city. Two people found each other and painted a new world, one filled with color, hope, and the courage to be seen. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched your heart, please give it a like, and subscribe for more stories that look beyond the surface. We'll see you in the next one.